Today I'll be showing you how to install a surface mount at the bottom of a door. The first thing you want to do is you want to grab the shock absorber. Usually it's one of the last things you do on a normal lock install, but in this case it's going to be the first. This is going to pretty much allow you to build upon it. First thing you want to do is take the case and you want to see where you want to go. I'm going to be about right here, so I'm going to take the pencil and I want to mark the inside of the openings. Now I have two little marks, and I'm going to take the shock absorber and I'm going to stick it in between those two lines I just drew with a faceplate, and I'm going to draw. I want to do a pencil mark right there. Next thing you want to do is you want to grab your drill with your drill bits. I use a 1/8 for this. Pop it in, pre-drill your hole. After your hole has been pre-drilled, you want to open. Let me open up this packet real quick full of screws. You want to take the shock absorber screw, and with a hand screwdriver, you want to follow it in. This allows you to not to over tighten, and so you don't strip the screw with the power drill. After you got that where you want it, you want to adjust it where it's straight. You don't want to make sure it's not crooked or anything, because that will mean the rest of the lock will build upon it crooked. So you want to make sure it's 100% straight. And just sticking one screw in there allows you to straighten it out instead of just pre-drilling both at the same time. After that's been done, go ahead and take your drill and follow the second hole in. And go ahead and screw in the second screw. Make sure they're nice and snug. The next step you want to take is you want to take the platform housing, and you want to take a grinded down gear, which I've already grinded down. And actually the first thing you want to do is take this, and the faceplate. Stick it on top, and you also want to make sure this goes on straight as well, because it'll allow the rest of the lock to go on crooked if it's not. Once I got it measured up here, whoops. There we go. Right where you got it, where you want it, take your pencil, immediately mark the 6 holes, so you don't have to worry about refining them. And then you're just going to again follow through with your drill, 1/8 in drill bit size, all 6 of the holes real quick. Make sure that you want to be careful when you're doing this. Make sure the drill doesn't walk on you. After that's done, what you want to do is you want to take your 5/16 machine screw drill bit, adjust your torque on your drill bit. I usually adjust mine to about a 7 or an 8. You want to proceed to take about 6 number 10 hex screws out if you have them. If not, you can use the ones that come in the packet. I highly recommend not, because they easily strip out, so this will allow you nice, easy, fluid drilling of the install. First thing you want to take, obviously, is you want to assemble this. You want to take the gear and the security bar, and you want to just go ahead and assemble it real quick, just like this. Once you got it assembled, you want to stick it on the door. Go ahead and start with the middle one. There we go. Start with the bottom middle one as well. The reason why I start with the middle is it goes in straight. There you go. After you got all 6 screws in, go ahead and take the thumb screw, and I want you to just go ahead and test it. Make sure it's not real rough, not real soft, just perfect. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Once you got that on there, go ahead and take the cover, stick it on there. As you can see, I started below the shutter because I didn't want to do any unnecessary cutting on the shutter, obviously, so start a little bit below. You always want to make sure when you install these it's below the glass. That way when a criminal tries to break it, he doesn't look to see there. Then after you got the faceplate on, you want to take the 2 faceplate screws that hold it on. And when you screw these on, you want to make sure they're tight but not too tight. If you over tighten them, you're going to hit the security bar on the inside, and you'll start, it'll feel real rough when you stick the thumb screw on there. I'll just do another test real quick. I did a good job. It's securely on there, and everything's good. Always another thing to note is when it's in a locked position, always make sure the ultimate lock symbol on the thumb screw is facing down towards you so you can read it. You don't want it to be sideways like this in the unlocked position. Just keeps everything uniform. Go ahead and install the last screw in the center of the thumb screw. And there you go. You got half the door done. So the next phase is obviously going to be striker plate. This part's a little bit trickier due to the fact that you got to cut a lot of weather stripping and things like that. So, okay, the next part for the striker plate that we're proceeding to is you want to take a couple things into account. The first thing you want to take into account is to make sure the door is flush with the edge of the door jamb. You can see here, down here, you can, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the door jamb's actually a little bit higher up than the door. So when you actually install the striker plate, I'm actually going to have to mortise it in a little bit to make sure they're flush. Because if it's not flush, you're going to get too much acceleration distance, and it just makes it extremely hazardous for the customer, especially with these because you have no deadbolt. You just have the straight up security bar. So the first thing you want to do is you want to unlock it, and you want to take your pencil and going in straight like this. This is how I'm doing it. I'm not going in sideways, I'm going in straight. I just want to mark one, and I'll mark the other one. And the reason why you do that is to keep it uniform. Usually when you crook it, when you go in sideways, you might not keep the same angle on both sides. This way it just verifies it. And for the second, you can go in a little bit crooked. Just remember the spacing you did for the top and bottom, and these will be your guides for the security bar. I mean striker plate, I'm sorry. After you got this, we can go ahead and open the door, and I'm going to show you in just a second. I'll move the camera. Alright, here's the second half. I've opened the door so you guys can see a better angle of where I'm going at here. Well, obviously we have weather stripping in the way, so the first thing we have to do is get rid of it. Before we have to get rid of it, we have to see how much to get rid of. So we're going to take the striker plate and we're going to stick it right on the lines that I've drawn. After I get it right on the lines, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to go ahead and mark just exactly where I'm going to cut. Now, also a note to remember, you always want to cut inside the lines. You never want to cut outside the lines, simply because the lines are not going to be perfect. In this way, you can always cut more if you have to. You can't cut less. You know, you can overcut, so just be careful about that. I've drawn the lines on the weather stripping. First thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and pry it a little bit. Get my metal shears here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of it out because I can always put it back. Actually, I have to cut a little bit more here. I thought I had enough, I apparently didn't. After we get that weather stripping out of the way, we're going to save this because after we install the striker plate, we're going to go ahead and pop this back on here. So just put it on the side somewhere. But for right now, first thing I want to do is you always want to check to see if you have enough room for a surface mount. The importance of the surface mount, it's not only easier for you, but also it allows the security bar and the striker plate to be as close as possible. Whenever you're further away from them, it makes it more prone to crowbars and things like that. So the closer they are together, the better. So, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. When I was looking at it, it looked like I had enough, but I'm not sure. But it's always a good idea to go ahead and test it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to stick the striker plate back, and you want to draw the two holes. Stick your pencil inside the two big hole markers here and just draw a circle. Proceed to do it with the bottom one. You can clearly see I've marked the two holes. Now you want to take a Forster bit, 3/8, and pop it in your drill. And for this, you never want to go directly on top of the circle you drew. You always want to go a little bit in front of it. So, I mean, a little bit. I mean, just it's going to be literally right there. So, and you want to make sure you drill enough for the dimples on here to sit flush on the door. Okay, and like I said, you want to test to see if it's flush. In this case, it is perfect. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and close the door, and I'll see if I have enough space. So I want to put pause on the camera real quick. All right, I just rearranged the camera so you guys can see a better angle. I've just pre-drilled the dimples for the back of this. I want to go ahead and stick it on. Make sure it's nice and flush. Go ahead and proceed to close the door. Close the door. Go ahead and lock the top lock you've done. That way, make sure the door is 100% closed. And from here, you want to just go ahead and test the lock. Go ahead and lock it. And you want to go on the right-hand side and see how much space you have between the edge of the striker plate and the security bar. You always want to make sure you don't go past the rule of thumb, which is 1/8 of space. If you have any more than 1/8 of space, there's too much acceleration distance. And what that simply means is the force when someone goes ahead and kicks the door, how much room that thing has to accelerate. More acceleration leads to more devastation of the lock. Hard the lock has to work. So make sure it's as close to it as possible. In this case, I actually got kind of lucky. It's perfect, and the lines I drew aren't 100% with where it's sitting here, where it's nice and flush. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take my pencil and just remark where exactly the lock falls in this situation. Let me get the bottom one here. Alright, now that I've got this, I'm just going to go ahead and unlock both locks, open the door, and I'm going to go outside again, and this time I'm actually going to go ahead and pre-drill the holes for the set screws. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and proceed to draw the holes, or to drill the holes for the set screws. The one I have here, the drill bit I have is actually a 332nd. And put my drill in drill mode. Easiest way to do this is easiest way to do this is to just go ahead and line up the lock. You can draw the holes out with a pencil, but what I personally do for efficiency purposes is just keep it on there. I just drill one of them and drill the second. That way you're 100% certain that those holes are exactly where you want. Alright, the next step we have is we have to install the screws now, so I want to get in real quick. One second. And with these, it's important to remember, again, I'm using a hand screw, not because I want to, because of the fact that with these, they strip out extremely easily, so just for the sake of the headache, just go ahead and take a little extra time and follow these through with a hand screw. And that way you're not stuck there stripping them out and realize, you have a whole new situation you have to deal with. It just makes life easier. So once you get that in there, next part is you want to test it. Again, we do a lot of tests because it's better to stop right now and do a test than go ahead and proceed, realize you made a mistake, and backtrack. So I want to go ahead and close the door real quick and find out whether or not the lock works. Okay, I just did the test and everything was just like I left it, like I showed you guys earlier, where the acceleration distance was perfect. Nothing was hitting, it wasn't lopsided, it was flush with the lock, everything was just like I expected, which is good. So now I can proceed to the next step. The next step is going to be pre-drilling the two long holes at the 30-degree angle. So right now I'm going to go ahead and ready my drill up for the drill bit, and for this case, give me 1 second. Two screws. Alright, I found them. Sorry about that. Just a little mess going here. It's always important to keep your workspace clean. Got a semi-clean workspace, but anyways, it's always nice to use it when it comes in the package. This one gets you through a lot. It's just a good drill bit to have. You don't need to go out and spend money on a drill bit when it comes in the package. So, go ahead, lock it in place. And when you go in here, you want to make sure you're going in at a 30-degree angle. You don't want to go in too much. You don't want to go in too straight. Just about right here. And pop it in there. Flush it out a couple times. Get all the sawdust out of there. Proceed to the next one. After that's done, just go ahead and switch your drill bits, to a Phillips screwdriver. Go ahead and grab your your screw, and just go ahead and make sure you change your clutch to about a 7 or 8. You don't want to strip these bad boys out because these are a pain to get out once you strip them. So just go ahead and put as much pressure on the back of the drill as you can, and proceed to go forward. And it's always good to know, don't finish them all the way. You want to get the other one in there as well. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, this is a good example of what not to do. In this case, I just stripped out a screw, so right now I have to take it out. So give me a second, I'll show you how to do that. Pause, please. If this happens to you, go ahead and grab your grab it bit, stick the drill in reverse, go ahead and make a nice some room for grab it. After you do that, flip them over. Whenever you get it to lock. Keep it in reverse, stick it in there. Came out a little bit, let me put it back over again. Again, this is what you don't want to do. Well, in this case, I got no more threads, so I just got to go ahead and follow it with some camel wax. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you know, the most common problem for this is just you didn't pre-drill it enough. I mean, simple as that. So if this happens to you, just go ahead and stick your drill bit in there. Go ahead and start over. So. And there you go. Now we successfully fixed that problem, and we got the charger plate successfully installed. So the next phase is going to be just go ahead and remount the weather stripping here. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do that real quick. Just go ahead, mount it where you want, take your hole punch, pop it in a couple of times, make that hole, get another one in here. You got that. Go ahead and take 2 number 4 screws from your kit. With your number 2 screwdriver. Go ahead and follow it in. You always want to make sure